Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Zen from Zen World, and I hope you're having a great day. So, I picked up Batman Nightfall, and we're gonna do a little something for this video. Use a lot more panels and imageries just so you could get the full effect. Now, let me tell you, this book is amazing. Now, it definitely brought me all over the place in terms of like what's gonna happen next, and there are a lot of spoilers in this video. I'm gonna give you the entirety of the story. Um, but I still want you to go out there and read the book because it is amazing, and all the people who came together to make the book deserve their due in supporting their book. So, if you enjoy this video, give me a like, subscribe, comment. What are your thoughts on the book? So that way we could get started on making more videos like this. So we're introduced to John St. Paul, who is the Batman of this world. But in particular, before we get into that, we are introduced to a brand new character that I haven't seen before, and his name is Tempest Fugonaut. So Tempest Fugonaut, for me, he's very reminiscent of the Watcher, right? But what he talks about is that he's been watching the multiverse and also the dark multiverse, and he's saying basically as the source wall had broke by the Justice League, that things have started to mutate in different ways that it wasn't supposed to. And then there's a coming crisis coming. The crisis I'm not too sure about if it's the one currently in the Justice League or something even bigger than that. Now, his abilities, he can move freely through the multiverse, but he chooses to ignore no more, and he wants to do something about what's happening because of the coming crisis. He describes his power as also a curse itself. So then we start to look at a specific world, and this world that we're looking at is very reminiscent to the one where Batman had um, basically had his back broken by Bane in Knightfall, the original series, but this one is in the dark multiverse. Now, very different than that, John Paul Valley had taken up the mantle, but instead of just a couple of weeks where he eventually trained with Shiva and got back on track, John Paul Valley didn't give back the mantle to Batman. And basically, what happened is he stayed Batman for the next 30 years. And through this, he pretty much took a strong hold over everyone. So he did pretty much everything. He took out people, everyone who he needed to, and that was pretty much it. So he did this for about 30 years, right? Um, so now we get down to the gritty part. So, John Paul Valley is basically saying the city is secure, and every time he referenced the dialogue, he's referencing to Bruce Wayne, right? That I have taken care of your city. I have done X, Y, and Z for the city in order to make things happen. So he's basically ruling with the iron fist, and it isn't that Gotham is more peaceful, but it has changed to a great degree, right? So when you look at Gotham, it still looks pretty nitty and gritty. But the part that gets very dark in this story is the interaction between Bruce Wayne and also John Paul Valley, who is at this point the Saint, Batman. So we're gonna see a scene right here where you see Batman, John Paul Valley talking to Bruce Wayne, and this scene is a little bit gruesome. So beware. We'll see, as you see right here, that Bruce Wayne is connected to an artificial containment unit that's basically sustaining him. But as you can see, a lot of his torsos are gone. You'll notice that all he has is his head, his brain, and also his pectorals, his latimus dorsi, and his abdominals, and that is it. It's connected to that. So apparently, John Paul Valley, we're let known that he's been removing a body part from him, and this is because Batman hasn't been giving him approval on everything that he's done. So he's hooked them up to this in Wayne Tower, and basically all that's in here is actually Bruce Wayne in this Wayne Tower. So as you can see, it's pretty gruesome in the sense that Bruce is not doing anything. He can eat, but he also suffers from seizures. Now during this time, then, and I think I'm not confusing this, is Luis Ramos and also the Penguin, basically. So these so it's not that Luis Ramos and Cobblepot are doing things. Um, they're doing things basically against John Paul Value's will, and that was Luis Ramos. He was transported, and Cobblepot or the Penguin was not supposed to do that. So of course, John Paul Valley sent his acolytes basically to go get them so it wouldn't happen again. So he ends up killing them, right? Um, we're next introduced to a scene, pretty cool, with like this really gigantic guy who's basically just mauling through some of the soldiers John Paul Valley has. So he's like basically, we don't know who this person is. He is super strong. It kind of looks like Bane a little bit in terms of like strength and prowesses, everything that he's able to do. And we're introduced to a character named Torn, and Torn is actually here to save Bruce Wayne from Wayne Tower. So one of the cool things about Torn that we understand a little bit is that Torn is actually the son of Bane himself. And one of the cool things about this character is that we know that Bane used to do the Venom, and he used to basically shoot up, for lack of better words, in order to get stronger. Now he's done that for so many years that actually when it came time for him to have an offspring, Torn, who is his son, is able to produce the Venom on will, so he could produce it in his own body. Probably kind of like an endorphins or like adrenaline type thing that he could activate it whenever he wants to. Now, similarly, prior to this, we're also given an understanding that John Paul Valley is using some sort of venom himself in order to sustain himself over the years, right? But he's also become addicted to it. And one of the things that we see is that he's wheezing, kind of like it's hard for him to hold up. And yeah, it's just generally really hard. But going back to the coup, because I know I mentioned it and it sounded a little bit confusing, there is a coup happening against John Paul Valley and everything that he stands for, because the people of Gotham no longer want him to be the protector or the rule. Now, one of the things that we see is that Torn is able to save Bruce Wayne eventually from the tower himself, and he's basically Bruce Wayne is like, how are you gonna, like, what can I do? I have no body. There's nothing that I could do. But Bruce kind of has this dialogue with him and says to him, um, did you ever meet your dad? And then Torn is basically like, yes, I have met my dad. I haven't met him, but I saw him. But I saw him when Saint Batman actually killed him, and that was in years prior when he was a little boy. So he did see everything. And one of the things that Torn says is that, if your conviction is really strong, we'll be able to help you, Bruce. But at this point, we're not too sure what he actually means or how Bruce could even receive any type of help because of the state that he's in, where all he is a head and basically a torso. And then we're met with the introduction of Shiva. Shiva is there too, so she teams up with Torn, and she's basically saying we could get your body back. The scene skips, and then we're given a scene with John Paul Valley, and John Paul Valley is basically having some kind of like inner dialogue, right? And at this point, he's crazy. That's basically it. John Paul Valley is crazy, and he's talking to what's believed to be another saint, who's basically kind of giving him insight on what he's done, on what he's doing, but also so that he could have a stronger conviction about what he needs to get done. And it's just really it's just very apparent that John Paul Valley is very crazy at this point, and everything he's doing, he thinks he's doing it for the right reasons, right? Most villains do. They think they're doing it for the reasons that are right, but in particular, he's not. Now, the next scene that we get, and we're left to know that Shiva and Torn has given something to Bruce, and it looked kind of like a nano type of, when I've seen it before with the Batman in the other universe, the one who kind of like combined with Cyborg, it kind of looked reminiscent to that in terms of the nanotech, but I'm not too sure, and we're gonna feast upon what will happen in a little bit. But basically Shiva and Torn, they go into Wayne Tower, which is not Wayne Tower anymore because it's been taken by John Paul Valley. And John Paul Valley sees Madeline, and Madeline is basically his Alfred, right? And she says that I can't stand by you anymore because everything you're doing is wrong. You're fixated on Bruce Wayne's approval, and you've been relying on the Venom for far too long. So one of his acolytes kill him, and then the acolytes kill her, and then basically they're like, "What are you gonna do against us?" The acolytes, and then both Torn and Shiva are like, "We're not alone." And then we get this amazing scene where Batman comes out of nowhere, and he looks like very devious. Like, let me tell you, it kind of looks like a Spawn type of thing. So his cape is like flapping all over the place, but it does look like he is it is nanotech that is making up the entirety of his suit and everything that he is. But when you look at his eyes are like bright yellow. It's kind of given the emulation of an actual bat. So what he does is he kind of decimates those acolytes that were with John Paul Valley. And it's just pretty stellar to see because at this point I'm like, all right, here we go. Batman's back. And we also have Torn and we also have Shiva, and they're all teaming up on these guys. They're like decimating them. Even John Paul Valley is like not able to stand in their way. And it's it's pretty cool because at this point in my head I'm thinking, all right, now there is some kind of service that's coming into the dark multiverse because Tempest Fugonaut was basically looking at different worlds that he could basically look on the allies. So in my head, I'm thinking, all right, this Batman is going to be one of the new stay-in Batmans that is, he looks kind of evil, but at the same time, like he's going to be one of the good guys. So Batman continues on his path of, kind of like gliding through, and we're also let known that these are nanobots. These are nanobots, and what Batman says is that everything he touches, he's able to absorb the DNA from them. So even though he is killing them, he does say, "I'm not killing you. You'll be able to live on through me," which is kind of weird in that sense. So when he said that, I was like, what? Actually, Batman, that is killing. But whatever. This is the dark multiverse, so I'm like, all right, whatever. So then we get this next scene where um, Azrael or Saint Batman or John Paul Valley rips off the arm of Torn, and this part was unexpected because this I didn't really think we were gonna see this. And then he looks at the arm and he basically sees that there's venom coming out of it, of course. And then John St. Paul is kind of like trying to drink the serum from the actual arm that's coming out, but then he's kind of like whisked away and things of that nature, which I'm like, you could tell that him trying to swallow the venom from the arm, like he's definitely lost it. Like he's definitely mad, and it really didn't do anything for him that much, but it did give him the ability to have a little bit of boosted strength in this fight. And then John Paul Valley is basically like, I am the Batman driven by faith, but you, the only thing that ever, he's like, basically, what's the thing that ever motivated you? And then Batman, we know he's saying that the only thing that ever motivated me was fear. So they're fighting through this, and of course at this point it seems as if things are getting grim, but Batman, Shiva, and also Torn are triumphant against him. So everything is looking good. In my head, I'm like thinking like, oh, they're gonna beat this guy. Everything is good to go. We're about to have a new hero in the dark multiverse, someone who could probably team up with our main universe people in some type of way. But then, I was totally wrong, everyone. I think everyone who read this was totally wrong. Couple things happen. So Torn basically he stabs John Paul Valley, which is cool. Everything like that happens. But then we're left with the dialogue scene between Shiva, Torn, and then Batman after they beat him, and he's basically like the tides have turned. So they ask Batman, and they're telling him like, with your new body and conviction, we could save um, we could save Gotham. And Batman is basically like, you can't save Gotham. He said Gotham doesn't need what every other place needs. He said it's not about saving, it's about making it reborn and new. So then we get this scene where Batman, with his new nanotech body and everything like that, he kills or absorbs, quote unquote, absorbs, as what he said. He kills both Torn and also Shiva, and he's basically like, I'm what the city needs, um, and she needs me, and I'm here for her. Basically, he says that, not quote for quote. And then the next and last thing that we get is Batman, who's holding up John Paul Valley, kind of like on a crucifix, and I'm like, what the hell? Because I thought we were gonna get a Batman who was gonna like help out with his new body and everything, but apparently then we get the next scene from the Tempest Fugonaut, who's basically, the Watcher of this universe, who's basically saying that um, it took it took Batman 30 years to watch everything that's happened in Gotham in order to make a choice that will make him break, right? That will change everything. So it's really crazy. This was a great book, but I felt queasy in some cases, but also excited. And the next we're gonna see is in the Tales of the Dark Multiverse is the death of Superman, and we all know that was a crazy story. So I want to see how that turns out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed this book a lot. Um, the Dark Multiverse is pretty crazy, and this world, this whatever world this is, like I wouldn't even want to visit it because this Batman who's here is kind of like, I don't know. He's um, yeah, he's it just seems really gruesome and weird. Like I felt bad for him, but then at the end of this book, I'm like, what the hell? I don't feel bad for him anymore. I felt really bad for Torn and also for Shiva, because I was getting excited for this new character, Torn, but then he's gone. He's gone. But I do like his inclusion in this book. This was a 40 something page book. It was well fleshed out, and I think what really came out good from this book is the introduction of Tempest Fugonaut, and because he's kind of like the storyteller between all of these books. So let me know if you enjoyed this video. Drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna catch you all later on the next book, for the Death of Superman, which should be coming out in November. But I'm gonna do some more reviews. All right, everyone, take care. Peace.